Hello, hello, Facebook. Hi. Welcome to our live tonight. And we are so excited that you are here with us. We want you to come on in and join us for a few minutes, Facebook and YouTube. And we want you to come on in and join us for a few minutes as we are talking about best practices for working from home. I am Yolande Ford, and tonight we have Ms. Courtney Craig, who is with us, and we thank her for being with us. She is going to be helping us to navigate this thing called working from home, as we know that a lot of us are now working from home. And this is a new phenomenon for the masses of us to be working from home. Working from home, it used to be people here and there would work from home, but since COVID-19, it's been a lot of people that have transitioned to working from home. And so we want to talk about that. We want to talk about some of these best practices. And listen, hey, if you have questions, please definitely ask us, put them in the comments so that we can tackle some of your questions. We can, attempt to answer most of them. And listen, if we don't know the answer, what we always will do is we will say we don't know, but we are going to try and find that answer for you. Okay, so we also want to thank Pastor Ford for allowing us to have this forum here so that we can have these type of real discussions. Yes, we love Jesus, but we're also living a life that is outside of the four walls of the church. And this is even more real now because many of us have not been inside of a church for months. Okay, so, but we are excited. Courtney, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So listen, I want you to tell us a little about you because this
Okay.
was your idea. You want
Okay.
to talk about best practices for working from home. So tell us a little about who you are and where this came from.
Okay. So my name is Courtney Craig. I have a master's in education technology, and the reason why I bring that up is because it's part of like this whole working from home thing. A few years ago, I decided that I was bored doing what I was doing, and I switched careers to go into education technology. So one of the perks of being in education technology is like working from home. Like I can work from
Mm-hmm.
anywhere. And so, that was really important to me. But the reason why I thought that it should be discussed is because working from home is a discipline. You have to be disciplined. I finished my grad degree online, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people said, "How did you do that?" And I said, "Because I was disciplined." But I think that it was important because even people that have worked from home, I believe that some of us probably have fallen into some unhealthy work from home behaviors. And then there's some, as you said, who've never worked from home. So it's like, what do I do? How do I do this? And
Mm-hmm.
so I just thought that it was important to kind of have this conversation to, help. I'm not an expert. Let me put that out there now. But I, have had some experiences from working from home. So that's why I thought it was important that we have this kind of platform.
Yeah, and you brought up a very good point, and I have some things that I want to ask you, but you brought up that point about it takes discipline. Listen,
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you, when I was in college, I did not like those online classes because I knew I was not disciplined. Okay, I needed to be in somebody's classroom. Okay, I could not be on the computer learning. That just was not for me. But you know what? A lot of people have that same testimony, but now we're having to do it. Like
Yeah.
no other way of doing it. I am a counselor, and so I have my office is where my clients would come, and
Mhm.
husband would always say, well, you need to get online. You need to, have your clients online and whatnot. And I was like, oh no, I can't do that. There's just something about being in front of
In
somebody.
front of, yeah.
And then when COVID hit, you be in front of anybody, right? So you have
Right.
to go online. So all of my
Yes.
clients now are online. And it was a transition, but you know what? It was okay. Like I was
Yeah.
scared at first, but it was okay. But it was okay. But the discipline piece, that is big. So let me ask you this. Prior to COVID, okay,
Mhm.
um, did you work from home?
So actually, yes, I did. A few years ago, probably about 6 or 7 years ago, a company that I was working for, they started to let us work from home on Thursdays and Fridays because they were trying to save money.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
they figured,
Mm-hmm.
if we close the building, we don't have to have the heat, air conditioner, lights, whatever on. We'll let them work from home on Thursday and Friday. So, we did. And then as of recent, the company that when I transitioned that I'm at now, I started working from home 2 to 3 days a week back in August. So it's
Mm-hmm.
been a year. Yeah, so it's been a little over a year. So I guess to me it was, oh, okay. Now I get to work from home every day because, again, as I said, that was one of my goals and one of my things when I switched careers, that I would be able to work
Mm-hmm.
from wherever I was. I didn't want to always have to go into a building if I didn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I definitely did. I definitely did work from home
Yeah.
prior to this.
So what's the difference between post COVID and pre COVID with work
Oh,
from home?
so there's a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Prior
Mm-hmm.
to COVID, um, if during lunchtime I wanted to run out to go to the mall or go to a restaurant to grab
Mm-hmm.
food or go
Mm-hmm.
get my nails done, it was a no-brainer. You just went out and you just
Mm-hmm.
went to go
Mm-hmm.
do, whatever you wanted to do. But now when COVID hit, I was terrified to go out the house. So, even though I was working from home, I would sign off and just sit there like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? You know what I mean? Like, because I can't just go to the
Mm-hmm.
mall. I just can't
Mm-hmm.
go get my nails done. So it was almost like COVID had us stuck in the house. And I mean, actually, we were
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuck in the house
Yeah.
because we were,
Yeah.
scared. So it's a huge difference because, I had a couple of friends say, well, this should be cake work for you because you work from home. And I say, yes, but it's different. I can't leave my house. Like, you're
Mm-hmm.
stuck
Mm-hmm.
in the house. I can't go out. Um, so that's like one of the biggest things that, prior to COVID, and then now it's you just being stuck. So like the thing that I switched over for was be able to work from home, and now I'm working from home, but I'm stuck at home. And
Yeah.
that hasn't been fun. I'm pretty sure a lot of people can probably say the same thing.
Yeah.
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 That
Being
hasn't been
stuck
fun.
at home. Yeah.
Yes.
That is a feeling. Listen, that being stuck at home, that's a huge deal. But
Yeah.
being stuck at home, have you made any changes in your schedule, so that maybe you don't feel like you're stuck at home since you're working from home?
Yes. Actually I did. So as I said before, I started to have some unhealthy behaviors. And what I meant by that is because I was home, I would sign online much earlier,
Mm-hmm.
because the thing is, I used to commute for work. I had about a 35-40 minute commute. So I was
Mm-hmm.
already up. So, I would sign on early. Even though it was my lunchtime, I would go grab food and come back in front of the computer and start working. I would
Mm-hmm.
sign off, on time. Well, not on time, but when I got off, if I couldn't sleep, and my sleeping habits got really bad, if I couldn't sleep at
Mm-hmm.
11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, I would get online and start working. And I had to think, I'm like, okay, you're not a doctor. You're not out here saving lives. Like, your
Mm-hmm.
job doesn't require this. So, I had to pull back.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had to say to myself, okay, your hours are from 8 to 4. You're going to get on at 8. You're going to get off at
Mm-hmm.
4. You have a lunch break. You're going to take that lunch break, and whether that is me watching TV, me checking my social media account, doing whatever, I had to, again, like, discipline and say, you're signing off at this time, because
Mm-hmm.
it just got to be too much. My personal life, my professional life, started crossing over. And that's
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I didn't want to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, those were some of, like, like, schedules and the activities that I had to change, because, it really got bad. It
Mm-hmm.
started, like, affecting me in ways that I don't think that it should have. And with you and in your practice, I'm pretty sure that you have maybe talked to some of your clients about working from home. I mean, have, like, any of them, with us working from home, just to bring this, like, have a question back, what I'm telling you, unhealthy behaviors. Um, can, like, working from home or being stuck in a house trigger off mental health issues?
There's a correlation to that.
Okay.
We have had seen of lots more anxiety and depression lately,
Okay.
and a lot of that can be attributed to COVID and the fear of COVID, but not being able to socialize, because we know that being able to be around other people, it produces different hormones in you, and releases different chemicals in your brain that help you to deal with depression. um,
Hmm.
but being in the house, and then again, you're not getting that sunlight as well, because a lot of people, you stay inside, you go from your bed to your computer, and so not having that vitamin D, that is a definite
Mm,
trigger
didn't
for
think about
depression, not having that vitamin D. And so, yes, working from home, being stuck, and even the idea of feeling
that.
stuck,
Stuck. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
can be a cause um, of feeling that this is just not what it is.
Right.
I
Right.
don't like this. But then also, like you say, your personal and your professional lives, they start to, the boundaries are crossed,
Mm,
you
mhm.
know. And so let's say that you are set up inside of your bedroom. So now you have all of your office work in your bedroom, and there's a, like you said, you don't cut that off, you
Mm,
know because you're right there, like, oh, I can just go right over here and finish this work real quick, or it's no longer an 8 to 5 job. It's
right.
an around the clock type feeling, even though it's not really, but you have access, you know?
Mhm.
And so that's something big, those boundaries, how did you really establish those boundaries? You knew you had to, because things just were not working well for you. So how
Right.
did you establish those boundaries? Like, what were some of the things that you actually did to make sure that you were done at 5 o'clock, or whenever you needed to be done?
Because, again, I think maybe it's almost a discipline thing. That I had to say, you're on at 8, you're off at 4. Um, I started doing that because I'm like, okay, for my mental health, I need to disconnect, and I have to disconnect.
Okay.
And it's funny that you bring up being in your room and your office and stuff, your computer and stuff. And actually,
Mm-hmm.
that's what happened with me. Is that my computer and stuff was in my bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so technically, I'm spending 16 to 18 hours in one room a day, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you get up and you walk 2 feet and your computer's right there. And
Mm-hmm.
so I said, I can't do this. Like, I'm about to lose it. So sometimes I would take my laptop, outside, but those were boundaries that I'm like, okay, this can't happen. And so the other things that I started doing, is I had a work phone. I made that work phone went up at 4 o'clock. Like, it went in a drawer, so I did not see it. That was it. I
Okay.
disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to check emails. If you text me, then you're going to have to wait until, tomorrow when it was time for me to get online. The
Okay,
other
say that again now. Say that.
So, okay. So I disconnected. I took
Yes.
that cell phone and I put it in the
Mm-hmm.
drawer. So if you
Mm-hmm.
text me, you are going to have to wait until I
Wait. Yes.
yes, until I got online tomorrow. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, we're not saving lives. Well, I'm not. I'm not a doctor, as I said. So
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
could wait. It could wait. And that's something that I've learned doing COVID, that it could wait. My cell phone used to stay on my hip, and now it's like I turn off notifications. I have no
Mm-hmm.
problem turning my notifications off at all.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Mm-hmm.
text me and I get back to you, just, whenever. But I had to establish those boundaries because just mentally, I'm like, this is not, this is not
Mm-hmm.
healthy. This is not
Mm-hmm.
healthy. And I knew I
Mm-hmm.
needed to do something. So those are some of the key things that I did was, you know, even though I was up early, I found something to do in the house. I'm pretty sure that's the other thing, that we all had house projects that we didn't do because we worked. We're out of the house. You only have Saturday and Sunday. We all know what we do on Sunday. Sunday is
Mm-hmm.
church and you rest, and
Mm-hmm.
Saturday is only really that one day. So instead of getting on early in the morning, I started doing just other things around the house until 8 o'clock. But by 4 o'clock, I was off. And I mean, I get it with some jobs. Sometimes you have deadlines, or things that you need to work on. That's fine to work past that time for a week or so. But to do it every single day, to
Mm-hmm.
me, just wasn't healthy. So I had to establish those boundaries.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I thank you all for watching and for coming in. If you have questions, please definitely put them in the chat, in the comment section, so that we can try to address your questions or concerns, or even send a little encouragement here for all of us that are working from home here. So I have another question for you.
Sure.
In your opinion, what
Mhm.
are some of the keys to success for working
Good
from home?
question. Um, I would say so. First of all, get up and get dressed.
Mm.
Get up, get dressed, fully dressed, ladies. You understand what I'm saying?
You mean
Um,
we can't wear our pajama pants to our Zoom meeting? What?
oh no, get up, get in the shower, get dressed. And I mean, of course, you don't have to throw on your jeans and stuff like that, but find those comfortable clothes, but also maybe a comfortable outfit that you wouldn't be ashamed to go out in. I put it to you that way. If
Mm.
someone called and said, "Hey, I need you to hurry up and come down here," you could grab your keys and go out the house, and you're like, "Oh God, I hope no one doesn't see me." Um, I think that is very important because it's starting off your day. You're almost, I want to say, it's like that reverse psychology. Like you're tricking your brain and say, "Okay, yes, we're getting up and we're getting in the shower and we're getting dressed." So, so that's like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you have to,
Mm-hmm.
like, get up. So every morning I get up, and I've gotten bad because I don't get up the same time that I used to. So that's something, like, try and stay in that window. Um and just do everything. No, don't stay in your pajamas, because let's be honest, if you're in your pajamas, you're comfortable. You're like laxed, and you know what I mean, and you're not really refreshed and ready to work. The other thing is, take breaks. This is,
Mm.
and it's funny because actually the company that I worked for years ago, they actually, on their work from home document, it said, take breaks, go walk your dog, go check the mail, throw a load of laundry in, start dinner, you know what I mean, in those breaks, or just sit there,
Mm-hmm.
or grab your phone and go on social media. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Take 15 minutes and just do different
Mm-hmm.
things. I think that is so important. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and as the other thing I said, what we spoke about was to separate personal and business space. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I'm fortunate that I had we have an extra room, and like the room that I'm sitting in now, like I'm revamping it into my office. So it's like, a whole bunch of stuff out because like, we were moving things around because I'm like, I can't do this. I can't sleep in the same room and be in the same office. Um, the other thing is like if you see behind me, I have an orange wall. I just had that painted um orange for my office because it was like a pop of color. So to me, like trying to add something in, like I really started getting into color therapy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what some of I didn't realize what some of the colors mean and what they
Mm-hmm.
actually do for you. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
separation. Like I got my room painted a different color, just one wall, and it really
Mm-hmm.
does
Yeah.
feel different when I'm moving in between the two spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
those are some of the things that I definitely think that you can do. Like I said, get up. If you're a person that works out, I've always been an early morning person that works out. People don't know how I get up and do it. If you were working out in the afternoon, I would say try and work out in the morning because again, it's tricking your body of okay, I'm up and I'm out the house. So then maybe that can help you, as well. And just try not to be distracted. I know that's really hard
Mm-hmm.
to do, especially like if you have your TV on and a good talk show comes on. You may want to turn around and watch it
Yeah.
because I know I can stop and be like, oh, what happened? So
Yes, yes. I get it. I get
yeah,
it. Look, I want to watch Young and the Restless in between my clients. I'm just
yeah. See, so those are some of the things that you can do that I think um, would be helpful in having you to be successful in working from home.
yeah, yeah. And you talk about distractions. Now, I'm not gonna say kids are distractions per se, okay? But I don't know if how many of you remember that interview that this man was doing for, I think it was like CNN or MSNBC or something, and it was like it was a real big interview he was doing, and his son runs into the room. It was live. His son runs into the room, and I mean, he's a kid, right? So he
Right.
doesn't know that his daddy is on CNN live right now. And then you see the wife come behind him and scoop him up and run it back out the room. Because let me tell you, I've had so many meetings where I've had my child on my hip, and I've just been like, y'all, listen, I have my 1 year old, she's right here. That's just what it is.
Right.
Um, but those other distractions outside of kids, because we're here in Stanford, they're doing the hybrid where you go every other day, and so some
Mhm.
kids are at the house or what have you. Um, Even when we're talking about the kids working from home, can they use those same tools that you just described to do their online work as well?
For as the kids,
Uh huh.
um, I think it depends on the age. Like I really think it depends on the age group because like as you said, your 1 year old does not care that you're talking to a client, or your 6 or 7 year old, they may not care either. And it's funny,
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't have kids, but one of the things that I did prior to me coming on, I just earlier this week, I texted a couple of my friends that I know, have kids, and I said, how do y'all handle working from home with kids? And somebody responded, when you find an answer, you let me know. And I said, like, I was like, how do you deal with that? Um,
Yeah.
and they said it's so. I think one of the things that they did say to me was they made sure that when their child was in school, like having their class time, that's when
Hmm.
they definitely did their own work.
Okay.
So it's like I think the parents will have to kind of wait on the child, to do the work. I do think it's important maybe to take your child and go for a walk because I've had
Hmm.
someone to say that to me too, that they have taken their son and say, okay, look, we're about to take a break. We're all going to take a break because we're about to
Hmm.
lose it. We're going for a walk. I know that parents, there's some things that they're letting their kids get away with now that they wouldn't before, like jumping all around and screaming and stuff. One of my friends, she
That's
was like, I
me.
just can't deal. Yeah, see, she was like, I just can't deal with it. Long as he doesn't break any,
Yeah,
bones, he can flip off the couch 80 times he wants. I just can't,
I don't care. I don't
they have
care.
to really
I don't care. Yeah.
exactly. And so the distractions, it could be a good distraction, if you're in a meeting.
Ah, yeah.
We were in a meeting, and like you
Uh-huh.
said, because of COVID, I think we're just also I think maybe now people are maybe starting to relax a
Mhm,
little bit, but
mhm,
we're like all stiff and like we're scared and blah blah blah. And like we're in a meeting and we're talking, and all of a sudden my manager's dog just jumps on her. And like we're on a Zoom with like 20 of us and everyone just starts laughing. But
mhm,
it was a
mhm.
welcomed distraction,
Right,
and it just
right.
actually made us laugh. So,
Mhm,
sometimes the distractions, was good, but like if you're distracted by your phone, maybe leave your phone in another room,
mhm, mhm,
and not bring your phone in there. If you're hooked to the TV, maybe go into another room where you don't have a TV and have that be your office so you can complete your work. It's it's something you have to learn how to do.
yeah.
Like you said, everyone cannot work from home, everyone cannot do online classes. It's just,
Mhm,
and now I'm the opposite. I don't think I can go and sit in a class. I would be fidgeting
mm.
and be like, I can't do this. I gotta go. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
Different.
Well, then let me ask you this. You know, I'm coming from Texas. See, I have my Houston, Texas shirt, right? And so everything is bigger in Texas. You have so much more room in Texas. Most of the people that I know, they have an extra room to, make their office or what have you, right?
Mhm,
But coming here, not so much, you
mhm,
know. So what would you say to those who have a small space to
mhm.
use as their, workspace? How can they create that to be their workspace? Like you have another room, that you can use, that, you can dedicate that to your office. But what
Right.
about people who don't have that space? What would you say to them?
That's a great question. I know I was talking to a friend of mine who said that she had started using her kitchen table.
Mm-hmm.
And I read somewhere, and I need to go find it. They gave a reason of why you shouldn't use your kitchen table, but I'm like, if that's all you have, then to do that. If you can just definitely find a way to get out of your bedroom,
Okay.
that's like the key thing I think, to get out of your bedroom. So
Get
if
out.
that means let's say you have just a studio. Let's talk about a studio. A studio is just one, you know, big room. Maybe you will have to just put yourself in a little space, like a TV tray, to say, okay, this is going to be my section.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else is going to take place in this section but me working.
Mm-hmm.
You have your TV tray and you're, facing your wall or facing whatever, and do that. You know, um, Again, because we're dealing with COVID, everyone is not comfortable with going out, and still, because COVID is still rampant, um and it's not that easy to go to a coffee shop anymore,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
that would have definitely been a good thing. It also would give you a change of scenery. um the other thing is, if you have friends that maybe have a yard, like one of my girlfriends and her husband, they just did their patio and it's beautiful. My first question was, do you have Wi-Fi? And she was like, of course, Courtney. I said, "Okay, just give me the password and let your neighbors know that I'm gonna be in your backyard." Because like, it's, her yard was huge and they were going on vacation. She's like, "We're going on vacation, so you can come over here." And so, if I needed another space and something different,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
those are like different options that you have. Or if you have a balcony, maybe go out and sit on the balcony. If you have a porch, go
Mm-hmm.
sit out on your porch for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and try and work. And I think some parks now may have like Wi-Fi. I don't know. Maybe you can go sit in your car at a park just to get different scenery. But I know like when you're in a smaller space, it's a little harder because not everyone has that extra room. So I definitely think when you're in that small space, to try and just find one spot and just dedicate that one spot to, this is my workspace and nothing else is going to take, nothing else is going to take place over here. Just so there's some kind of separation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know that it has to be hard. And as you know, and as I'm like sitting up here thinking and talking about getting out and doing things from a counselor's point of view, what would be your advice for handling one's mental health? Like if someone is already dealing with anxiety issues or dealing with depression, and
Mm-hmm.
now, they're stuck, like what would be your advice coming from a mental health perspective of what they can do?
Yeah. Um, this is hard, and I tell people this all the time, and I have lots of colleagues, and somebody put it. I mean, it was so well put the way that they said it. Somebody would ask, a client would ask, I'm dealing with depression right now, and they would reply, but we're in a pandemic. And I'm just not liking life right now. Okay, we're in a pandemic. Okay, and things are really hard for me. Well, we're in a pandemic. Because honestly, and we sound so repetitive about this, but that we are in a pandemic is real. You know,
Right.
and so everything has our entire way of living has changed. Our
Hmm.
thought processes are different. The way that we are educating our kids, the way that we are
Right.
approaching our jobs, the way that we look at our finances, the way we are, just looking at the world in general, it has changed. And so we're in a pandemic is the answer for just about everything right now. I don't want to be so flippant about it, but
But it's, yeah.
that's just the real thing. We're in a pandemic. And so when we're dealing with the mental health aspect of this, and I have to tell people all the time that this has exploded. The mental health
Mm.
has exploded in the past 6 to 9 months. I mean, when I say exploded, I mean exploded. And so, because the pandemic has exacerbated all of those underlying
Like
things,
things. Okay.
okay? And so, if you were already dealing with depression or anxiety or any type of other mental illness, whether it was OCD or panic attacks or I mean anything, even personality disorders, whatever you were dealing with, it could have been alcoholism, it could have been drug addiction or
Mm.
any the substance abuse, any of that, domestic violence,
Mm.
that's not a mental health issue, but
But yeah.
something that has been, just blown up as well. But any of these things that you have been dealing with before, it's just huger now. I don't even know if huger is a word.
Right. Right.
It's, it's bigger because now everything that we're doing is right here. I mean,
Yeah.
our whole everything is right here. Um,
Yeah.
because our work is right here, our kids are right here, our spouses are right here. I mean, everything is right here. Not to mention the things that we are worried about. Okay, do we have enough disinfectant? What about our kids going back to school? Or we got to wear masks everywhere we go. So there's a reminder of the pandemic. And then I won't even start to go on the whole racial tension issue here
Oh, yeah.
because
That'll be a
that
whole nother
has
conversation.
right. That's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing. Yeah, and I'm gonna do hashtag Breonna Taylor here, but
Right.
it's when you're dealing with that. we need to make sure that we have support. So if you know someone who is already dealing with this stuff,
Mhm.
check on them, because this thing is not over. Okay, we may be moving around, more right now.
Mhm.
May not be stuck at home, but we're still not as good as we think we are. So check on
I
people
agree.
who you already know that are dealing with this, or even people that you would suspect that would have a hard time dealing with being at home, because everything is right here. You
Mhm.
have that change of scenery, like you were suggesting that we need to do.
Right.
Everything is just right here. It's right here, and not to mention the threat of having COVID-19.
Right. Right.
Exposed to it, or even having to quarantine. Listen, we had to quarantine for 14 days because we came from a state that that was on the Connecticut list, right?
Mhm.
So being in the house for 14 days, listen, I did it, but being in the house for 14 days, that was a lot.
I can imagine.
That was a lot.
I can imagine.
So, you know, when you were dealing with, check on people. You need to check on them and then make sure that they have the right support, because this can be a difficult situation. This is not can be. This is a difficult situation. And I'm gonna tell you again, the answer to everything right now is that we're in a pandemic. And listen, people still dying. We don't have a cure for it, and
Right.
we're still in a pandemic. So that's the answer for any of this. It really is. But I did love your answers, your tips there that you had about what we can do when we have those small spaces. And I think even if you have a dedicated room for an office, that
Mhm.
things could still work. Getting out, getting that
Yeah.
in that fresh air, that exercise. You said even just go to the mailbox.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something big. Because I'm be honest, I tell my clients that too. Just get out and get that fresh air, because
It's so important.
because we can get so complacent, and then that complacency can turn into, it can a slippery slope is what that
Mhm.
can turn into. And getting out, forcing yourself, get up and get out of those pajama pants.
Yes.
And I'm a little convicted there, but but getting out and doing just like you should normally do, right?
Right.
And even when you're watching church and you're worshiping online, you can get up and get dressed just like you would normally do on a Sunday morning, you know,
Right.
and get there and do what you should do.
Right.
Because I think that it brings you closer to, it's tricking your mind, like you said.
Yeah, I honestly believe that. I definitely and I honestly believe that it definitely is doing, tricking your mind. The doing the church thing was a little hard, for
Hmm.
me
Hmm.
at first because I remember when I had it up, I think I was in the kitchen cooking and then I was like, no, because if you were going to church, you would be sitting still and sitting there watching it. So again, the discipline and the talking to yourself. I definitely agree about the fresh air and checking on people because I was, dealing with an illness, not too long ago. So a lot of times I was in the house and I didn't come out. And I know there were times like, my mom was outside and she texted me or my brother would come by and they were like, come outside and get some air. You know what I mean? Like you need to come outside. And, it was definitely a difference, with going out. So now, oh, and the other thing that I just thought about, for those of us that have vehicles, another work from home tip that I literally started doing this week, I go for a ride every
Mm.
night.
Oh,
Either
every night.
right after work, yeah, just about every night. I don't, if
Hmm.
you have a family or whatever, I know that may be a little hard. Um, because when I was commuting, my car was my praying space. Um,
Mm.
it was a lot of
Hmm.
times because if my phone would ring, I sometimes wouldn't answer. I would just be in the car. So just to even get air and to be safe, you can get in your car and go for a ride.
Mm.
I sometimes either I'll go out for a 20-minute ride or I'll go out for an hour and
Mm-hmm.
just drive, take the
Mm-hmm.
post road. I'm taking my time. That's another way to get air. To me, that's another good thing to do when you're working from home. If you want to go out, you can still be in your car and be
Mm-hmm.
safe. Take your
Mm-hmm.
family, or if you're by yourself, you go by yourself and just go for a ride. That's another thing that's been working, that I've like started doing.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a good idea. My daughter's doing virtual school right now, and so um, she was on a break, and I just said, you know what, we're just gonna go on a ride. You know,
Hmm.
we just went around in circles for about 10 minutes.
See.
We had to get back to school again. But it was just the fact of getting out,
Out. Right.
just getting out. But you know what? All of these are wonderful tips. I mean, you have really helped us, and I wonder if you are a consultant to a business,
Hmm.
and I'm hinting this to all of our Facebook and YouTube watchers, that she could be a very good consultant to
If
organization,
I could.
um, on how to effectively transition your team to work from home. Because I know a lot of businesses are doing that right now. I mean, a lot of major businesses are doing it
Right.
right now. And so, I think that you have a few tips for us. And we will also be able to post these on our Facebook page as well. Um,
Right.
we have some of these tips that we're going to show here, so that you can see what some of uh, these work from home resources are. These
Yes.
tips that we have here. So let's see. Here we have and you can go and tell us about them. You tell us about
Okay. So these are just a couple of resources that I pulled together. The tips that I had actually shared with you earlier were ones
them.
that I've actually done myself. So, I know them to work because I've done them myself. So some of the ones that's on this slide, and again, either you can copy this down, or at the end we'll give you our contact information and we can get it to you. But one of them is, the first one is from HubSpot, and it's 20 tips from people who do it successfully.
Hmm.
So this is a site, and when you click on it, it has tips from people who successfully work from home, and
Hmm.
probably the things that they've gone through. So the second one is Skill Crush, and that's 13 tips and tricks for working remotely. Same thing, they offer different advices, and different things that they've done. The next one is called Remote You, and this is 8 tips for beginners. This one is really good because, as we said, not everyone was used to working from home. I think probably the majority of us are beginners, so it's like,
Hmm.
what do I do? What don't I do? How can I do this? How can I handle this? So, that's definitely a good resource. And then the last one, again, is just another 20 tips from working from home. I tend to like to pull resources from different things. So, like I said, we can send, if you want this, we can definitely just, send us over an email and we'll get this out,
Hmm.
to you. So these would definitely be some, good things. And um, I know you had asked me if I was hired by an organization. The tips that I just shared would be the same ones that I would share, in that space. For managers, if we have any managers that are out here working, and you're a manager and you're managing a team, one of the things that I can say, and back to what I was saying, check on your team. Have a Zoom meeting just to have one. It not everything be business. Just let's have a lunch Zoom. Let's say, hey, today, we're gonna do lunch and we're gonna Zoom and we're gonna sit here and eat and just talk about whatever, the weather, the dog, our kids. That's successful because a lot of times, especially if you live by yourself, it can become very lonely.
Mhm.
And you probably can attest to, also this is probably a mental health, where people definitely start dealing with mental health issues when they're by themselves. So that's one point I want to put in there. If you're a manager and you are managing a team of people, just do a check-in with them. Just
Mhm.
have a Zoom, just because, check in
Mhm.
and see how everybody is doing. So,
Mhm.
like I said, I would definitely offer the tips that I offered before, and I would definitely put that tip in for organizations, is check on your people. To your
Mhm.
point,
Yeah.
definitely have to.
Well, that is great. And listen, I'm going to give you our information here. Let me go back to the screen here. And here is, see, I'm trying to work this little. Uh, I am not the technical person in the family, my husband. So he gave me a quick little, run through of how I'm supposed to do this. So I hope that he's proud. But anyway, listen, if you guys have any questions for us, after this broadcast, like I said, we will post those resources on the Faith Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church Facebook page. We'll make sure that we post them so that you can have them, and you will also be able to see this broadcast again, because it will be recorded and archived on our website as well. I mean, on our Facebook page. But if you do have any other questions, you can definitely reach Courtney for the work at home information. You can reach her right there. And then you have my email address that's on here as well. And then if you don't have any, if you just have general questions, and you just want to get in contact with anybody, you can definitely call the church. Okay, you can. And all
Absolutely.
that information is on the church's website. It's on the Facebook page, excuse me, but it's also on the church's website, which is faithtabct.org. Courtney, do you have any last comments that you would like to say?
Well, I would definitely like to say thank you, Dr. Ford, because when I brought the idea to him, he was very open to it. Because I know that we had been concentrating on mental health, but I
Mhm.
definitely knew that there was a correlation between mental health
Mhm.
and working
Yeah.
from home, and how they were colliding. And like I said, because I had worked from home, I had end up getting bad work from home habits. I'm like, if someone that's been working from home got into bad habits, what would
Mhm.
people do that just started working from home? So,
Mhm.
I just was kind of led to, to see if we could do this for him. So, Dr. Ford, thank you. Thank you, First Lady. I definitely appreciate it. And I'm, just happy to speak to anybody if you have any questions. So, thank you. I definitely appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, and you know what, guys? Again, thank you for joining us, Courtney. We definitely thank you for what you have done and for providing
Mhm.
all of these tips and these resources. And again, they will be posted on the church's Facebook page. And so, Courtney, we thank you for being here. We thank you for everything that you have given us this evening. Guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we pray that you have a blessed evening. Have a good one.
Have a
Bye.
good one.